is Jay Harperani, and this is my second time up here on stage for the Salesforce Talent Show. I had a really great time last fall, and when I left the stage and the talent show ended, I texted my wife. I told her I took third place, there was a lot of good talent, I had a great time. A couple minutes later, she responded. So, I decided to text my parents instead, and I told them also that I came in third place, and I sent them a link to my video. Shortly after that, I sent another text to them indicating that there were some really good performances. Second place was an incredible musical duet, and first place was this phenomenal jump roper, who I'm actually glad is not here this year because she won first place again. About a half hour later, I got a text back from my parents. So that was last year. I'm going to take you back even further in time now. 30 years ago, my family and I visited India. And while we were there, I met this gentleman on the streets of New Delhi. He was a fortune teller who predicted my future. And what he said was that I would get married, my wife and I would have 2 kids, both of them would be girls, and he said that if we tried for a third child, that she would also be a girl. Lo and behold, 30 years later, I am the proud father of 3 lovely and spoiled girls. Okay, they're not that spoiled. There we go. So, in the early 2000s, we had 2 girls, and several years later, just as the fortune teller predicted, we had our third. Life with the Kardashians, Harperani girls, is a lot of fun, but it can be challenging at times too. I just cannot get over the reams of toilet paper that my 3 girls go through. So, I walk into the bathroom and this is what I see frequently. I finally had a talk with them and I said, hey, if you finish the roll of toilet paper, just put a new one on there. It's pretty simple. So I walked into the bathroom and several days later, I think I got through to them. So my youngest daughter is named Syra, and she's a really fun-loving kid, but she believes that adults lead really, really boring lives. So when she saw this sign, you can imagine how delighted she was. An actual toy store for adults. Dad, I know where I'm going to get your birthday present next year. My wife had to take her, of course, because it was my birthday, so I could go with her. So my wife and I discuss ethnicity quite a bit with our girls, given that I'm 100% Indian and my wife is mostly Polish and German. Our girls are quite the mutts. My eldest is teased all the time by her friends. She's called a Windian, a white Indian. It could be a lot worse. I mean, if I was Hindu and my wife was Jewish, my poor kids would be called Hindus. So I'm actually sometimes mistaken for other nationalities as well, especially when we travel, but it also happens right here at home. For example, I was at a swimming pool with my younger daughter a couple years back, and I overheard a lady talking to her kids, and she said, Nina, Justina, it's time to go, let's get out of the water. And I looked at her and I said, your kids have really interesting names. So the lady explained that she was Lithuanian and her husband was American, so they wanted to come up with some names that could be pronounced here, but were still Lithuanian. I said, that's really interesting, because my wife and I have the same situation. Our kids are half Indian, and so we had to come up with names that could be pronounced here, but that were Indian sounding. And she looked at me and she goes, your wife's Indian? In closing, I just want to share some final words of wisdom from the fortune teller that I met 30 years ago. When he told me this, I had no clue what he was talking about. It made no sense. But today, it's crystal clear. And this is what he said. He said, young man, do not go through life as a hard ass. You will go much further as a mule soft.